Well, welcome back to MINDtalk, where we like to bridge the disconnect between what brain science knows and what people do. Well, this week I'd like to talk about keeping an agreement with ourselves. As it is, when I'm working with clients, there's a number of issues and challenges that come up in our conversations. Now, when we first meet in this, they're generally in some sort of valley, some subjective valley, where they may have lost perspective, where they've lost the lay of the land, and they can't always find out where they are. Now, it's in this landscape of our dialogue, it's the landscape of the conversations we have that, literally move them from the valley up to the hill. And from the hill, as I've mentioned, at the apex of the hill, at the top of the hill, they're able to have objectivity. They're able to see where they've come from, how they've tackled the challenge. Because they know, and I know, that at some point they're not going to be able to stay up on that hill as much as I want them, they want, and we both want that person to stay on top of the hill, to gain objectivity, to stay on top of life's challenges. When a client and I manage to be able to get to that top, that is when they are clear of thought. It's when they're cognizant and they are filled with insights of how they got to the top. And this is the key. This is very important, because at that point, that's when they want to be able to capture those thoughts. They want to capture those insights, because they will become very valuable. Now, what I get them to do is I get them to write down statements. It may take a meeting, it may take 2 or 3 meetings, but in between our dialogues, I get them to go home and do kind of homework. Now, this homework is to exactly that. It's to write down these insights, to capture them from these abstract thoughts, to take what they've been able to articulate in our meetings, capture them down on paper, and put them into specific statements. Now, these statements are promises that they will hold to themselves, that they will commit to, that the next time they find themselves in the valley, that will help them to find a way out. Now, by creating these statements, now they may only be, 2 or 3, or they may be 15 statements. But the point of a statement is a promise we will keep to ourselves. It's telling us when we will engage or when we will disengage. Every statement ends with a period, not a question mark, not an explanation mark, but just a period. Because those statements will be given from a point of emotional distance, where they're not super happily and elated, and they commit to promises that maybe are unrealistic. Neither is it at a point where they're angry and they say things they shouldn't, or they promise things they shouldn't. Emotional distance is very important. It doesn't mean we close off emotionally, but what it does mean is that by having emotional distance, it allows us even another level of objectivity. Now, once I've gone through the statements that they feel is the final product of the agreement they want to have with themselves, what I ask them to do is not to type them into the computer or type it into their smartphone or their iPad. What I ask them to do is to handwrite a letter to themselves. Now, it might just be some bullet points, but that letter has the handwritten agreements or statements that they have committed to themselves. Now, writing something has an extra depth, extra dimension to it than it is typing something onto a keyboard, seeing it on a screen and printing it out. This is a concrete commitment that has been stamped and sent through. They put the investment of taking the time to actually mail this, write this, and send it to themselves. Now, they may never have to open it, but what it does, it becomes that commitment device to themselves, that when they eventually do go back down into a valley, that when they look back and they're in the emotional turmoil, they're stressed, they're overcommitted, they're whatever they are, they can look back at that letter they've sent them to themselves. They can open it if they have to, but even just looking at that sealed envelope will say to them, look, I wrote this to myself when I was clear, when I was coherent, when I was cognizant of the insights or what it took for me to get out. And this is what life is really like. Not there. Just because I have a bad day does not mean I have a bad life. It's just a bad day or a bad situation. And that commitment device for them it works wonders. Now, again, I don't speak about this theoretically, but I speak from experience. Because we can commit to other people. We can go out into a social media platform and say, I'll do this. And it becomes hard for us to renege on that because our integrity is on the line. But we don't think about our integrity when we renege on a commitment to ourselves, a personal, internal commitment. What I suggest to you is write that letter of commitment. Make sure they're statements. Make sure that they're clear to you, that they're real to you, that you've written them into a place where you feel stable, where you feel you're in a good place. Because we all are going to enter the valley again. That we can cling to and know that I was cognizant, that I was coherent when I wrote this, and I was in a good place. And I will get back to a good place, but I just got to work on it. I can't play victim. I need to pull up my straps, tie my boots. I got to take ownership and responsibility, and I will get myself to a better place. I will move from the valley up to the hill, from subjectivity to objectivity. Well, thanks once again for watching this week. If you have any questions, if you have any comments or any examples or illustrations, please get in touch with me. You can reach me at LinkedIn. You can reach me on Facebook, Twitter, or most social platforms. Even email. I'd be glad to hear from you. Until next time, keep well, and we'll speak soon.